Welcome to the Pipeline of People podcast, powered by Versorix, the show where boutique firm leaders trade less admin for more advisory. Each week, we unpack the systems, stories, and strategies that help you keep your pipeline full and your people performing at their best. I'm your host, Jaden. Let's dive in. Today, I'm joined by Thompson, founder of Lean Business Transformation, a firm that helps organizations move beyond traditional chaotic operations to build lean, agile, and scalable systems. Herb, welcome. Could you kick us off with a quick look at your background?
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. You gave me a great intro, so I appreciate that. So that's kind of the summation of my background. I've been consulting probably a little bit over 20 years or so, and then that's the vision and goal of my organization, is to help those pain points and relief points for organizations. I got into it just based off of that passion and need, and I've been on that journey ever since.
Amazing. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you started in Lean back in the Army in the 90s?
Yeah. So I was in the Army, and in my time in the Army, I started with a background of TQM, Total Quality Management. That's a Deming principle. So that was kind of in the mid-90s, early to mid-90s. They were kind of adopting that. And then my transition from the military to the private sector, I was hired by a company that was very passionate. Fortunate for me, they were very passionate about continuous improvement, and they were practicing lean principles and concepts. I had excellent coaching around that and excellent leadership, and that allowed me to progress from site lead to corporate lead and other positions and on my journey of what I do. So, yes, definitely.
That's great. How did, being in the Army and starting the TQM there kind of shape the way that you think about transformation today?
It was kind of interesting because in the military, it's more directive. I won't call it authoritarian, but it's more directives as far as orders and leadership, right? It's not a lot of bubble up effect like we do with lean, or the voice of the customer or as far as buy-in by lower level leadership or soldiers in the ranks, if you will. We have our directives and marching orders. But I did have a strong connection, Jaden, and understanding of my background and understanding strategic and tactical initiatives around peacetime and war engagement, right? So that did help me make that correlation to that. And then transitioning from the military to the private sector, it gave me understanding, okay, how does that same thinking apply, right? Mm-hmm. So strategy and the fundamentals of it doesn't change, and the tactical implementation and alignment doesn't change. It's just a part of the focus. So, of course, I'm not transitioning there to take out the enemy or kill anybody, right? So I'm transitioning to help companies in order to meet their customer needs and customer demands, but the principles and tools and concepts and thinking and methodology still apply.
Yeah, it's quite interesting to see how it kind of transitions over. But for the kind of remainder of this call, I kind of want to cover why the consulting industry is shifting away from short, chaotic engagements, how lean principles help clients and consultants build systems that scale, the hidden costs of kind of starting everything from scratch every time, and then how you help organizations develop transformation capacity within. Sound good?
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. So, what inspired you to actually launch the Lean Business Transformation, and how has the work evolved kind of since that?
Right. So what inspired me was several things. One, just the ability to work for yourself in the entrepreneurship spirit. Right? It's nothing like having ownership and autonomy of what you do. And it's something that I'm very passionate about doing. It's one of the very few things in life. I try to restrain from saying never or always, but this was something I was passionate about because I know it works, right? So the application works in any environment, no matter where you apply it. As long as the commitment is there and it's applied properly, you're going to get the results. And it's not a lot of things in the profession and that you do that, gives you that guarantee or certainty. Another thing I like about it as well is, my passion behind it is it creates a win-win. I can exponentially help a company through safety, quality delivery, reduction of costs, and helping their bottom line as far as investing in what my company does, right? So it's not just their, purchasing or getting a product from me and then they're moving forward. It's a partnership and an investment in a relationship, and once applied properly, the investment into me or investment into the company to have these type of tools and resources will exponentially pay themselves off. I mean, I've had engagements with companies that I could reflect on now as far as the work we've done, as far as the elimination of waste and things like that, quality improvements and safety. They're still seeing the return on that investment, and Herb and Lean Business Transformation has gone and moved on to other things and other journeys. So those are the kind of things that kind of drove me and makes as far as the passion of why I do what I do.
That's amazing. So I'm curious to hear maybe some of those examples about what you were just talking about. You know, what kind of projects do you take on today? Is it more hands-on execution? Is it leadership alignment? Can you walk us through one or two examples?
Yeah, so one of the projects, and it just kind of came by organically, I needed a project to complete my Lean Leadership, Lean Master certification. So my coach and sensei, Andy Carlino, we were looking around saying, hey, what can you do to apply? And it's criteria around that, right? You have to save X amount of dollars, $1 million, depending on the size of the organization. Project has to be cross-functional. It has to impact across the organization. It has to be time bound in the sense of, okay, you deliver it in 4 to 6 months. And at that time, we were just putting in a new piece of equipment called the WEST, Water Electric Static Precipitator. And what that does is it reduces lead emissions, because I was working at a smelting company at the time. I was an internal resource. And we needed to improve our water discharge because we were going to have to pay reconnection fees, so on and so forth. And we were starting to get into the millions of dollars of what this was going to cost. So I ran across that. I said, hey, let me jump on that, and we can make it a win-win. I could meet the needs of the organization, and then I could satisfy the needs of my graduation or certification criteria for Lean Master certification. So I got a cross-functional team of just engineers, operators, all departments, leadership, and we start going after it. How can we understand and reduce water? So we put a strategic plan project around it, what we want to achieve in our goals. We got current state data. Some of it was very baseline. We had, because we didn't have a lot of automations to it. So we had to take, at one point we were taking 5-gallon buckets, excuse me, to measure. And we ended up beating deadline and under cost, very well under cost. So that's one of the ones that's continuing to pay itself off. So we were, we didn't have a lot of automation at that time. We had a system, I forgot what the acronym stands for, it's a SCADA system, and it measures water discharge in the plant. It's an automated system, but everything wasn't tied in yet, and some things were kind of very archaic. But we had to get an understanding of what we call current state, like what are we actually water consumption per department, per system, per line. So we were walking around, and some of them, okay, if we can't get this data automatically or through automation, we got to do it manually, guys. So it was just a matter of a clipboard, a 5-gallon bucket pail, and timing it, how long this water was discharging or dripping. So we were able to bring it all together, and then we started getting a lot of traction, and some things we were making improvements on the spot. So we weren't waiting to the end of the project. I had a great electrician, chief technician, that could just, that guy was a wizard. And he could, Mike Serrato, and he could just, okay, jump on something. Hey, Herb, we need this. Got it. I could tie that into the system. And the same thing with the operators. And everybody was very bought in, And at the end of the day, that project, at the inception of it, we beat timeline. We had like 6 months to do it because of the reconnection fee, the timing on that. We came in under 2 months of the project. And then we also end up saving, I think at that time, $1.4 million. But that's exponentially time over time, right? Because they're not paying that existing rate that they would have had to pay. So that was one of the projects that I definitely remember and being engaged in. But it was a fun project. As far as the other question you mentioned earlier, we work end to end as far as the organization. So we work with the C-suite or the senior level staff member, the mid-management, and then also the supervisor, lead, or frontline staff. So whether that's healthcare, manufacturing, education, that principle and that application always apply. So if you look at senior management, mid to senior management, A lot of that is about the strategic planning. What's the vision of the organization? Where are you trying to be next year? Where are you trying to be in 3 years? Where are you trying to be in 5 years? And what does that look like? We need to lay out that strategic plan. Often organizations just have a mission statement, which is great, but you got to build that out more substantively and make it a strategic plan. Then you start getting into management, supervisors, and staff. Now you're transitioning more into the tactical aspect of it, right? So that tactical is the actual actions that needs to happen in order to meet the long-term or short-term vision of the strategic plan. So all those things have to work and be in sync and communicated from top to bottom and bottom to top. And then we put visual tools in place so we can force that conversation to be happening organically. We call it lean daily management or daily management systems, where they have stand-up huddles as far as their teams, either internal teams or cross-functional teams, and they're discussing, hey, what is our performance like, and how do we transition to become better and solve our problems? So initially, organizations are a lot of times are just trying to meet the plan for the day, right? How do we get by and do what we need to do to get through the day or through the week? We want to transition to that, saying, hey, how are we measuring ourselves, and measuring that against how are we performing against our standards of performance? So if we could get to that level, then it becomes more organic and more behavior, because we're trying to deal with the behavior as far as performance implementations.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great story, with the buckets of water. And it sounds like you've been doing this for a long time. So what kind of changes are you seeing with how companies are approaching transformation now compared to 10 years ago? Now like AI is a board level conversation, and a lot of the kind of transformation things probably have to do with technology. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they're not carrying buckets of water down a line now anymore, right?
That is correct. I always try to tell the clients, call the company before the house is on fire. Right, that's ideal. When things are going great, you got capital, you're running in the black, you can invest in things and so on and so forth. So that's the best time to invest in systems. But a lot of times, organizations and leadership don't look at it like that, and often we get the call once the house is on fire, which isn't a problem. But then it becomes more problematic because you're trying to work and function in a very chaotic environment. As far as innovation and technology, things change, but the approach really doesn't. And here's what I mean by that. We know things are going to always change as far as innovation and technology. Most of the time for the better, but if not applied properly, it could be for the worse. The more bigger concern a lot of times is the economical or political environment, right? Because policymakers are going to make policies that they see fit for industry, for the company, or whatever, and it may not be in alignment for your business, right? But that's going to impact your business, and you need to be able to absorb that, right? The latest and greatest I'm hearing now with clients is tariffs, right? So They have to understand, and they're trying to understand, okay, I had one client. He said, Herb, how do I strategically plan around this? And it's so unpredictable. I need more predictability. So those things are going to ebb and flow. We had the pandemic, right? 2020 of COVID. So those things are going to ebb and flow. So I try to have my clients, one, let's try to focus early. What's your strategic and tactical plan in functioning and delivering the best to your customers? But even on a more granular level, what's your relationships with your customer base? What's your relationship with your supplier base? Are those things sold up in the sense of, are you getting the best bang for your buck with your supplier relationships? How are you reducing waste internally, things that are in your purview? How are you improving your quality, your safety, other things that you're doing in cost reduction? How are you eliminating waste? So I have them focus all those things that's in their purview to absorb a lot of the things as far as the external environment that we have no control over when it comes to policy, the COVID or next pandemic is coming. A lot of times it's coming, we just don't know when it's coming, right? Or where it's coming from. I try to tell my clients also when I'm engaging them is technology is an enhancement, right? And technology is innovation that's going to come. And like I say, most of the time it is for the better. But you still have to build a culture and environment of respect for people and understanding you intimately know your business. You can't just throw in Chat GPT or AI and say, hey, what's the function of my business? No, you need to know the functions and operations and the ins and outs of your business and operation. Now, AI can help you, right? Just like technology has helped us. You know, we went from typewriters or whatever to computers. You know, okay, computers weren't evil. It made us process things faster, and we didn't have to go to the library. I'm dating myself, right? The catalog and a lot of other things. And we can talk about a plethora of things related to technology. You know, Google and search engines. Those things are enhancers, but those things are never the do all be all. You're still going to have strategic and tactical plans. You're still going to have human elements to interact and engage amongst themselves, and also engaging with that technology. So that's how I try to guide my clients.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a kind of recurring theme that comes up in all of the podcast episodes, is that, you know, AI is a tool. It's not going to replace you, at least not right now. You know, name one or two jobs that have completely been replaced. The only one that kind of comes to mind is like a switchboard operator that would route phone calls. You know, that's before my time, but that job doesn't exist anymore. But it's just evolved now to, you know, phone companies, there's people on the other end. They do kind of all the support and stuff that goes with the cell phones. You know, it's not routing the calls, but AI isn't going to replace you. It's a tool. It helps humans. Human-centered AI is, you know, a very powerful thing, right?
That's and one of the things I always tell clients, a lot of times people look at when consultants comes in, or lean gurus, continuous improvement, operational excellence, their perception is thinking cutting head count, right? Eliminate waste. Well, we got to get rid of this guy or get rid of this girl because, you know what, now we can save costs. No, that's not the principle and how it operates, right? We repurpose. It's one tool and concept we use about work balance and line balance, right? So it's one of those things, no matter what the operation is. I got, 10 people on an operation line. Now, if it could be healthcare, manufacturing, doesn't matter. And as long as pretty much the skill sets are in alignment and you look at what's transpiring, like we talked about automation. Well, each of them might be doing 10 tasks for simple math, right? But let's say we automate the first operator's task and they're down to 5 tasks. So now they have basically 5 manual tasks because the other 5 have been automated. Well, you could level set the other ones and relieve burden from the other 9 operators or the other 9 people that's got tasks, right? And then shift some of that load to the person that went down 50% on their operation. So this is how we look, and we talk about vision and as far as how people are aligning and balancing the work and repurposing a lot of times staff and operations.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of vision, you know, what's next for you and for lean business transformation? Any new methods, industries you're exploring? What's exciting coming up?
I think what's exciting, I don't know if it's exciting or interesting. One of the things that's been focused on lately is trying to bring more manufacturing U.S. based. How this all is going to transpire and what that looks like, I don't have the crystal ball on that, to be honest, because I don't know how much of a realization of the volume that manufacturing can come back to U.S. soils. I don't know what we're capable of doing, capacity, and then the cost to the consumer. But I think that is an exciting as far as for business that I do, because a lot of my engagements, a lot of my companies they engage with is manufacturing related. So what we've been doing here at Lean Business Transformation is start working more on a la carte operations. So what I mean by that is this: companies are going to always have 10, 20, no matter what, pain points or things they want to improve on, and the value stream, which is the beginning and the end of a process in any organization, you always want to put a system in place, because nothing is really standalone in what I do. Those things are interrelated, right? One supports or accompanies the other tool or concept, themes, and applications. But what I've been doing and communicating with our clients is, okay, let's tackle the burning platforms now, right? If you're specifically having this quality issue, if you're specifically having a throughput issue, if you're specifically having these defects, let's start at least addressing those now. And in concert or in parallel, we can start building out a strategic plan, but let's at least address those. And then I think that gives clients also a flexibility to say, hey, all right, thanks Lean Business Transformation, we've worked on these 2 or 3 initiatives based off, on a 6 to 12 month engagement. Can we pause and revisit? Or sometimes it does lead to further work. Like, oh, wow, that's a proven methodology. Hey, let's pull the curtain back. We got issues over here that we want you to fix, and let's take it all the way from end to end. So that's one of the things I've been working with my team on as far as this, from a marketing standpoint. Let's just not market the end-to-end full-blown lean enterprise system and feel like clients only have a choice of all or nothing.
Yeah.
Right. So we want to start parsing some of that out and having them understand, okay, you have choices, and based off your organizational needs and pain points, let's address those and then move forward from there.
Yeah, for sure. Got a few minutes left here. I want to move on to our quick kind of last section here. It's a rapid fire, so I have a few questions, just quick, whatever's on the top of your head. Just answer. Sound good?
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. First one. What's a myth about lean or continuous improvement that you would wish would disappear?
It's a silver bullet, and it's a tool that's just going to help cure all our pains and needs, and people have little influence on that. So I would say it's just a quick answer that there's a quick fix, and it's not.
Yeah.
It's a journey.
For sure. One action that any leader can take this week to improve long-term performance.
Engaging their staff members. That's the one action they can take. Listening to your people, right? Understand what their needs are and how you can help support and develop them. That would be the first action.
Okay, great. What's something outside of your work, a hobby or experience that unexpectedly made you a better consultant?
I think respect for people. That really has been highlighted and focusing. I know sometimes we throw in our industry, we throw it around kind of loosely, but both privately and professionally, I just been more focused, and it's become more organic for me, just empathy and understanding and respect for people. And I've been practicing that more in my private life and practicing in my professional life. That's really been at the forefront for me.
Yeah, for sure. I think more people should adopt that. Finally, what's the best piece of advice that you've ever been given? Professional, personal, whatever it may be.
Let me see. The best piece of advice I've ever been given. I guess follow your dream, follow your passion, and give it all. And don't hold back. Know when to hold them and when to fold them, in the sense of, I get calls from clients or customers say, hey, can Lean Business Transformation do X, Y, Z? And we'll pay you X, Y, Z. But if it's not in our wheelhouse or our skill set, if we can't deliver it to the standard which we'll deliver it, then we pass it all. We say no to it, or we pass it on to another consulting group or someone else who can support that. So that's important. And first, and I think paramount is integrity. You got to be able to deliver when you say you're going to deliver, and be an honest broker. If something isn't right, let them know it's not right. If it's working, if it's not working. So being honest with your leadership and your client base. So that's probably some of the advice that I've been given and learned that I stand on and can live with.
Yeah, that last one especially is very important. If they find out something's not working on their own, they're going to be much more mad than if you go to the client and you're like, hey, look, this is what we've done. It's not currently working. We have a plan to fix it. This is the situation. They're going to completely understand. They're going to be happy to work through it with you, versus if, they check in, and they're like, what the hell?
Yeah. And another thing I learned, I'm glad you brought that up, Jaden. And the one thing I learned by that is don't come in as superhero or Superman or what have you, right? Because you don't know it all. Be willing to learn. And at the very end and throughout the process, partnership with the client.
Yep.
So that way the client is step by step and letting them know they own it. So when the results come out and they're winning, they get the credit, all right? They get the credit as far as this move forward. And if there's pain points, then you share those things that may have failed, and then you continue that partnership and relationship and saying, okay, who owns what, right? There's roles and responsibilities for everybody, but you have to have that throughout the process. And one of the things I learned in a painful way, know when to escalate.
Yep.
You know, don't try to drive it. I got it. We can win. No. Know when to escalate.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, thanks again, Herb. You know, where can people go to connect with you or learn more about lean business transformation?
Yeah, they could go to my LinkedIn page, my profile under Herb Thompson, and then you could go to my business website at www.leanbusinesstransformationllc.com. And those are the primary platforms in which I can reach. And I'll let everybody know I'm not hard to find.
All right. Well, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to share it with a fellow leader. Tag us, tag Herb. Make sure you drop a comment with your favorite insight. And I'm Jaden from Versorix. This has been the Pipeline People Podcast. Until next time.
Take care. All right.